All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Frank Analysis. I'm your host, Franco. I'm sure you guys are familiar with the events that happened in January, early January, when we were protesting for forced to vote. Um, Something common that we see is when we see big events, like big protests that happen, they die down after some time. We really can't let that happen. Really can't let protests die down and then people just forget about it. And then we have like another new protest about something else. We have to keep protesting and keep collaborating with other movements that are organizing other protests. And so, if you read that title, you know what we're going to talk about. I have my friend Ricky Rance here returning to the show. What's up, Ricky?
Hey, how's it going?
So, you want to let everybody know what we are organizing or what you are organizing with your friends?
Sure, with many people from across the country. My new friends, a lot of them. Yeah, we're doing marches for Medicare for all across the country. I think we can rewind to force the vote, actually. I was
Mm-hmm.
there with you and many others marching around the congressional buildings. And, we didn't get the results that we wanted, obviously. And I got back to New York after that. And I was talking with my friend Sharif here in New York City. And he was talking about doing something else, and we were thinking about different things that we could do to keep the conversation going at the very least, and keep people involved, getting people interested in healthcare because it is a very important thing, especially after this past year. And he was like, "We need to go back to DC," and I was like, "All right, if you want
Mm-hmm.
to do it, I'll be there with you. Let's do it. Let's plan whatever this thing is." So we decided we were going to do a march in Washington D.C., but we were going to plan it over several months. So we started doing that probably in late January, and people just sort of naturally kind of gravitated towards the idea. We had a small group at first, and it just started blowing up. To be honest, we were going to do just one march, focus our energy on just one march this year, and then see how we could keep the momentum going past that. But then we had people on the West Coast that were like, "Hey, we're all the way out here. Let's do something out here too." And I'm like, "Okay, why not? As long as you're organizing that over there, I'll do my DC thing. You do that. We can help each other out. That's great." And then all of a sudden a Los Angeles march pops up, and then people in Seattle were like, "Hey, what about us? We got this single payer initiative, whole Washington. We're doing a lot with healthcare up here. We want to do something too." So then Seattle popped up on the map, and then we're getting interest all over. So we're definitely going to have things in Albuquerque, New Mexico, San Francisco, New York City, likely Chicago, Portland, San Diego, possibly other places as well.
So why do you feel the urgency to organize more protests? If don't you feel secure with AOC and the squad in Congress right now? Like, don't you feel secure that they're doing enough, like trying to fight for healthcare legislation?
I mean, electoral politics is a dead end for basically any progressive policy at this point.
Right.
There's no path, and they keep saying that there's no path. So, like, why are we electing these people if there's never a path? Like, the only way that there's a path is if we like somehow get 100 new progressives elected before the other ones retire or turn into neoliberals, which they always do. So there's absolutely no path to getting anything in this country that actually helps people unless you demand it.
You're
And
telling me
really,
we don't have enough time to have 100 AOC so we can get like Medicare for all?
I mean, if you just give those $27 donations to like 100 people, if you just empty your bank account,
Jesus
maybe just
Christ.
maybe you can get health care. Just empty your bank account, and maybe you won't be in medical debt.
Right.
So,
So yeah, that's the whole point of why Ricky and all these people are organizing these different events across the country. Because that's what we got to do. We can't just do one location. We got to do multiple countries so that these politicians can feel the urgency and so that they can implement something. But something else that we could do, and I've been like reading up more about this and talking to more people. We can try to opt out of the system. And I thought an interesting question that Fiorella asked you on the combo couch when you went on for an interview about this was how what do you think what do you expect to see sooner, like communities who opted out of the system and forming their own Medicare system, or do you see like enough protests forming and pressuring politicians enough so that we can have some kind of healthcare system that's better than what we have now?
I mean, it's really tough because you see these amazing protests for Palestine, and they are big and they are beautiful, and there's a lot of energy and passion. And then you see people still that don't get it. Like, I'm on Facebook right now with people that just don't get what's happening. They don't get what's happening with with Palestine. They don't get what's happening with their own country. They don't know that standing for AOC is not going to do anything. They just don't get it. So there are two different worlds here, and sometimes we operate in these little bubbles. We do have mutual aid popping up all over the country, which you love to see it, but then there's people that don't understand, like, why are these people doing it? A lot of these people are at brunch, so it's a little bit different maybe, but like there is two different Americas right now. There's the America that's out there stomping around in the streets, and then there's a very different America that just doesn't get it. And I think if we keep making noise, keep doing these events, and just keep persistent. Like there have been protests that popped up last year that have been going since last year. Like we have very famous Stonewall riots here. I mean, Stonewall protests here, inspired by obviously the Stonewall riots of the 60s, but new ones that are just like, led by trans people and whatnot. And they've been doing this ever since George Floyd got killed, I think. So you're starting to see like consistent movements happening, which I've never experienced that in my time here in New York. A real consistent, voice like that. We've had little things pop up, but they always disappear. We talk about that a lot. These little protests, these little moments that happen, and then they dissipate, and then there's no follow through. But we're starting to see more consistency in protest, and I guess a lot of that had to do with people having more free time because of COVID. But I hope it continues. I hope we can continue to show people that we're not getting anything unless we fight for it, and I think we have to bring everyone in.
Exactly, yeah, and I think a lot of it has to do with the internet too, which makes communication a lot easier. And the predator class, the ruling class, the elite, whatever you want to call them, are seeing that as a threat, and that's why you're seeing more censorship. That's why I say like online communities translate to on the ground communities, and that's what we're seeing here. So hang on a second, I lost my mouse, like it disappeared, and I'm trying to navigate through OBS here so I can show like what I'm trying to show here. 1 second, guys. This is really frustrating. I wanted to show like the Medicare for All page, like the Twitter page that you guys have.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, we got some good graphics. Shout out to Logan who does our graphics. We got a good team.
All right, so there we go. So you guys are organizing in Albuquerque, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, and Washington, D.C. And this is going to take place July 24th, right? So can you tell us a little bit more information about like who's organizing in in these locations and what exactly is going to like go down?
Sure. Those are the ones that are announced. There will be a few more popping up before we kind of cap it off, I think. But it's all grassroots activists, right? So the idea behind this was that there was no organization that was coming in and starting this, no pre-existing organization. There's no bureaucracy. There's no submitting things to the president of any group. We're not following any politician. So it's not like the Bernie people are coming in, and then when Bernie doesn't get elected, then the whole movement falls apart. It's not about any politician or any political parties. It's completely nonpartisan. It's not about any organization. It's just grassroots activists from all across the country. Every group is doing their own thing. We're all under the same banner. We understand that we have to have like some kind of cohesion and some kind of branding. But besides that, everyone's going to do their own thing. There's an LA group and there's a Seattle group of Red Berets. They're kind of famous on Twitter. If you've seen the Red Berets. Yeah, everyone's just kind of doing their own thing, and a lot of these people are from different groups, and that's cool. As long as they're fighting for Medicare for All, we don't really care. We do have group meetings every week, and if we have to make big decisions, we make it as a group, which is cool. And we're just bringing in as many people as we can, trying to do a broad coalition, and you're starting to see more partners pop up on our Twitter or on our website. So we'll have more announcements soon with that. And in Washington, D.C., we already have tons of RSVPs, and our keynote speaker is going to be Marianne Williamson. Awesome. She's been doing a lot of great work with the Steve Donziger case here in New York City, the lawyer that is under attack because he won a case against Chevron. So she's been using her platform for some really good causes. So we're happy to have her. Um, yeah, we have some great speakers on the list for LA. I don't think we've announced them yet, but it's happening. And then hopefully we'll get Kshama Sawant if she's available in Seattle. So
Hmm.
yeah, I see some really like legit good ones actually showing up to these events.
Yeah. Hopefully we can live stream all those different events for the
With,
one in Washington D.C. I mean, so this is going to be like on the 24th. So I'll most likely be available and I can show up and I can live stream that event.
we would love to
Um,
have you.
so I want to get your thoughts on this. This is our friend Colin. And he said, I'm going to say something crazy, but I don't care. I'd rather have Trump as president. We all knew we weren't getting anything under Trump. People voted for Biden in the hope of getting something, and he has yet to deliver. I'd rather have the wolf versus the fox in lamb's clothing. And I mean, we're seeing like with the squad, like they're not pushing for any legislation like to give us Medicare for all, like they were promising us like 2 years ago. They're not pushing for $15 minimum wage, like during the COVID relief bill. They just some of them just voted present to give police more money,
Yeah.
right? The police department more money. So, what are
Yep.
your thoughts on what Colin said here?
I mean, I get it. I don't think liberals will agree, but I get it. I totally
Yeah.
understand. To be honest, like when it comes to healthcare specifically, Trump has a better stance on healthcare. Like if Medicare for all came to his desk, he would sign it. The majority of the country wants it. He likes to be popular. He actually talked about some kind of universal system. I think at one point it was never going to happen because he's part of the Republican Party. But like Joe Biden is like really against Medicare for all, and he didn't even he's already like backed off his own public option that he ran on. So like yeah, Joe Biden's the biggest liar ever. Always was. Don't know how everyone didn't see that when they were like voting for him. I mean, they're so blinded by the boogeyman that was Trump. They didn't realize that they're voting for someone who's just as even worse, actually, even more cynical and sinister is the real word, not cynical, like cynical. I mean, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Just nasty. Like Biden is so like schmucky. Like
Yeah,
Trump is
he
schmucky
is.
in a businessman kind of way. Like he's like a snake oil salesman, but like Biden is like he's such a fucking two-faced
He's like
liar.
aggressive about it. Like it comes off like when he's like we're like I don't know if you saw those clips that I played in some of my other live streams where he was so aggressive about Israel and defending Israel. If there was no Israel, then we would go out of our way to invent another Israel.
Right.
And
He
he's like,
talks.
I feel no empathy for these millennials. Like he's aggressive when it comes to these like horrible issues, and then when it
Yeah.
comes to issues like when it comes to issues about trying to help people in Medicare for all, he's like, nah, come on, man. Like, what do you think?
Well, I mean, obviously, yeah. Like he used to like brag about how he like wrote the crime bill and how he's tough on drugs and how he wanted to cut Social Security and uh, like he was so arrogant. He used to be openly racist and like we just forgot all of that. I don't know. Like to rebrand as a politician, it's just easy. You just like change your words a little bit. I mean, George W. Bush is on NBC now, so
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. It's really easy to trick Americans, I guess. That's the issues. That's like what we're up against, though. Americans are like, yeah, George W. Bush paints now. I like him. What? Like,
Forget
that's what we're up
history so
against.
fast just because they create a new boogeyman. But yeah, do you think that there is a lot of opportunity under Biden, the Biden presidency, for the left to wake up and see how inefficient voting for Democrats is? Like if you keep shoving into the liberals' faces like all the horrible shit that Biden does, and for some of the people that are more closely in ideology with us, like some of the people who still believe in voting for the squad or people who they view as being progressive, do you think that there's opportunity for them to wake up and see, I was like, yeah, I was wrong. Like we couldn't even push Biden left and things ended up being even worse. Do you think that there's opportunity there for them to see that and see how
It,
pointless it is to vote for Democrats?
I don't know. It's hard because we had Obama and he had the majority. I mean, he had all branches of the government for 2 years, right? So we had
Hmm.
the same situation with Obama where Democrats had complete control, more or less. And didn't get it done, and it's weird because like one big win here or there, and people act like he's like a superhero, and it's just so weird to me. Um, no, I don't know. I don't know that it's weird now that we have like AOC and all these other progressives in there, and we're still not getting stuff done though. We have like super celebrity progressives now because we didn't really have big progressive celebrities back in the Obama times. Like Bernie wasn't that famous at the time at all. Obama was supposed to be the progressive of the group, really, this young hotshot president. But now that we have like the squad and we're still not getting stuff done, maybe people will start to be like, wait, something's not right here. I don't know. That's what I'm hoping.
I'm hoping for that too, man. We'll see though. Ricky, any final words you want to leave the people with?
No. If you're interested in getting involved, you can come to our weekly meeting. Head over to our website, m4all.org. That's m the number 4 m the number 4 all.org. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Reddit. We're out there.
Yeah, and as the date gets closer, then I will bring you back on again and then give some updates to people. But yeah, Ricky, thank you very much for being here, and to everybody else, stay informed. And just bear with me as I find the stop stream button because my mouse disappeared.